Well, we're flowing.
We're flowing. And I have to recognize, even though our listeners won't be listening, although you've been really fast getting episodes out lately, happy Friday the 13th. I love this day.
I do too. Apologies. I'm drinking it's creatine, amino acids, and fiber. So as you can imagine, it doesn't
Nice.
taste very good, doesn't look very good, but I got to
No.
get it down.
Okay, get it down. Take care of you.
But as we're saying, Friday the 13th, when I found out why it's considered unlucky, I stopped caring.
Oh,
I
why
didn't
is it
consider it
considered
unlucky
unlucky?
because of the Knights Templar. There was this huge
Okay.
mass killing on the 13th, which was a Friday. So that's why they consider it unlucky. So once you know that, you stop worrying about, was it Freddy that shows up on the 13th or was it Jason?
Yeah.
Which one shows up?
Fred, I think it's Freddy. I have no idea. I watched Halloween for the first time this last Halloween, and I'm like, this wasn't even that scary. I laughed through a
No,
lot of it.
I think back in the day it may have been, right?
I've never been like a scary person thing. And I don't know, the superstitions, for some reason, I see them as like an excuse to rebel.
Yeah.
And that said, I definitely have some things that I believe in, like moon phases. Now, I don't know that I wouldn't sign a contract if in Mars is in retrograde. And I have had some clients that refuse to sign listing or purchase contracts, during those phases. But I'm like, yeah, Friday the 13th, bring it on. Whoever's scared and not doing things today, even better for me because I'm doing a lot today. I'm making big decisions today.
Yeah, and it's like April 1st. The reason it's considered April Fool's Day is because we're all fools because they changed the calendar and now we're stuck with the calendar they gave us. It used to be 13 months, so it's 13 phases of the moon, which makes up a
Mm.
calendar year. And then they changed it, and really the first day of the year is in that March-April time, depending on when the days stagger. So another one for you there, bit of history for you on this beautiful Friday.
You are a plethora of little known facts this morning.
Someone's got to retain them.
I love it. All right, cool. Well, I love our little catch ups. You ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it. Yeah,
All
so
right.
I'll let you kind of go into the topic, but the idea was kind of spawned by, I was driving home last night from picking Mason up from soccer, and I was just randomly thinking about how much it aggravates me when they don't let kids run the score up during games. I don't know why I started thinking about it, but it's just my pet peeve of it, particularly over here. It didn't used to happen where I'm from. But I just feel like it sets such bad precedent for these kids and life that,
Mm-hmm.
life ain't going to stop hurting you when it feels like, oh, it's 6-0, better stop here. No, it's going to put its fucking boot on your throat and it's going to make sure you stop breathing. So, my whole, and the idea of we need to learn how to lose. Kids need to learn how to lose. And it really shows up in life as adults when people don't know how to lose. I can always tell when someone didn't play a sport, especially a team sport, because they don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to lose with a group.
Mm.
So I really wanted to dive into that today, and you had some great ideas around the topic too.
I love it. And it's like Ben happened to just be walking past me, and he's so involved with all the kids' sports. And when you said, put your boot in your throat, he started laughing. I wish I could have grabbed his insight for a minute, because yeah, I've noticed. I actually don't think, because you're like, that didn't really happen in England. Growing up, that didn't happen for us either. There was no backing off. Maybe coaches put in some lesser players if we were that far ahead so that people got time. But yeah, like if you were getting slaughtered, you were getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
There was no pull off. So we'll go down that path. And of course, anytime there's a word like lose, loss, fear, any of those buzzwords, maybe not buzzwords, my brain always goes, okay, what are all the meanings behind these words? And perfect example of you explaining what is Friday the 13th, right? We all have these filters of what that day means to us, but what is it actually, right? And so when you go back to the root of it, it's like, oh, this had something to do with something that will never happen. So what's the big deal, right? And
Yeah.
it's more kind of fun to play around with this day to me than anything else. So the word loss, I didn't look it up in the dictionary, but that's often what I'll go to if there's something that I'm really contemplating. What's the Latin root of it? Where does it come from?
I'll look while
And
you
then
carry on.
And then I start thinking, well, okay, what are all the different meanings that this word has? Does this word fall into any typical things that we say as human beings? Like, it is what it is. Money doesn't fall from trees. You only fail if you stop trying. So the word loss, I knew you were coming at it from probably a sports perspective, or you thought you wanted something and you didn't obtain it, right? So that's kind of loss and failure. And then I start thinking, okay, well, are there any positives ways that we use the word loss? So when we're losing weight, we're happy about loss. If we lost a game or we lost a bid or something we were working hard for, we're not happy about loss. So when we're intentional about wanting loss is a great thing. And when we don't want loss, of course, it's a negative thing. And then that's a whole other reframe of when we've talked about like, oh, I want to lose 50 pounds. I've been challenged by other coaches to say, well, rather than saying I want to lose 50 pounds, I am working towards, or I am moving towards 120 pounds, right? So actually taking that word loss and reframing it completely, even though it was still a positive, I want to lose it, something I want to do, it was actually removing the word.
Yeah. Well, it's funny in
So,
that context, the word lose doesn't actually make any sense,
right,
right? Because if you look at the meaning of lose, it's to be deprived of or cease to have or retain. So I guess the retain part
right,
is
it's
where
to
that makes
retain.
sense. So I retract my
Yeah,
comment. And then the other meaning is to become unable to find something or
mm,
someone.
yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
that kind
lose
of him
something.
is like, ooh, that's a really good way of reframing. Even just saying you lost something is, maybe you
Yeah.
just weren't able to find a way to win versus losing the outcome.
Well, oh my gosh, and I last night I was reminded of something. So like in America we say like I miss you or I'll miss you, but in
Yeah,
Italian they say mi manchi, like means it's not like I'll miss you, it's you're missing. Like you are missing from me. You're missing from my environment. So it's a that's almost more of like a loss, right? It's like something's gone.
yeah, yeah,
So interesting. So we can go to grief when talking about loss, like a loss of someone that you love, a loss of something that you love. Loss can be a positive thing. You lost a loser boyfriend, you lost 25 pounds, you lost your anxiety, right? Like whatever it might be. And then we have loss that's just like you lost. You played a game and you lost. And how can we look at it more of, if you're just a loser in life, when you lose, it just perpetuates like I'm a loser, I'm no good, what was me, or they cheated, or putting blame somewhere else. But if you're a winner and you have a loss, you suffer a loss. There's another thing we put suffer and
yeah,
loss together all the time. You use it to, what could I have done better? What did we do? What did we do well? What can we improve next time? Is it we as a team, or what can I do better? And then use that to fuel you to be like, I don't want to feel like this again, right? I don't want to have this experience again, so I'm going to do what it takes to ensure that I don't.
yeah,
I have a memory of Ben coaching for baseball. Like this other team kept stealing bases on, I think, the kids are about 9, 10 years old. They were just stealing bases, like killing our team. And a couple games later, guess what? Our team was awesome at stealing bases and running bases. And so, the coaches were like, this doesn't feel good, right? So like this is what you guys need to be doing. Um Maybe even to the point where they were getting a little over zealous about it.
yeah,
But how do you take loss and however you frame it is how you're going to go through your life.
Yeah.
And for our kids now that are growing up with participation awards and a a governor on how bad you're going to lose,
Yeah.
how are we teaching them to successfully fail forward in life?
Yeah. And actually, that's really to me how I define if I call someone a loser,
Mm-hmm.
it's not because they perpetually lose, it's because of how they react to losses.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference. The average entrepreneur, I believe, is about third business is the one that becomes successful. And that's on
Yeah.
average, right? So you could have 5, 6, 7, 8 failed businesses that you lost in, but it's
Yeah.
how you continue to keep going that defines, whether you're really a winner or a loser. Because you can win while still losing. And it comes
Absolutely.
back to what you were saying about your attitude. How do you handle the loss? Which goes back to why I hate teaching kids that, your loss is all you're going to be protected. I heard someone say, they were trying to say, well, it's about respect. I'm saying, no, respect is teaching them not to feel sorry for themselves, that I don't
Right.
feel sorry for them. I
Yeah.
remember arguing with a coach during one game. This is in my days of yelling at soccer matches. I don't do that anymore. I'm reformed. Um, they were essentially letting Mason's team score. I'm like, it doesn't mean anything if they score.
Yeah.
It's a fake win. You're not teaching them. You're not teaching them any morals or any principles here. It's just, at some point life's gonna stop being hard, and we're gonna give you a free go. It doesn't work like that,
No.
and that's why
You have to
this
earn it.
whole idea of millennials, which I'm one of, and Gen Zs who don't, they're soft, and it's because they grew up not being taught how to lose, and the minute they enter the real world, it's like, oh shit, this isn't a gimme.
Resiliency is not born in the easy times, right? It's forged through the fires. It's
Yeah,
forged through the struggles. It's forged through the suffering, right? Like that's I'm having a flash to my brother, who owns the cafe and has a lot of younger employees, zooming in on the video camera, and all we could see was feet sticking out from behind the pastry case because the staff member needed to lie down. Like they needed a mental health day, and instead of leaving, they chose to lay down behind the pastry case.
yeah,
Um, because of, and it's not minimizing that person's struggles or challenges, because they're real to that person, because that person was not taught to have resilience and mental grit and how
exactly.
to handle moments like that. So it's a very real issue
Yeah,
that we're dealing with. And I want to rewind back to something you're saying, like maybe you won but you're still losing, right? Where you can lose but
yeah,
still be winning. And I think that's so apparent too in relationships, friendships, intimate relationships. Like if there's an argument, and how many times have you heard, like, well, you just want to win, or no, you just want to win. And it's like nobody's winning, right? This is a
yeah,
lose-lose for everyone if we don't figure out how to come out on the good side of this. So it's not about winning being good and losing being bad. I think today's topic is about loss is absolutely part of life. It's part of everyday life
yeah,
if you look at it. And it's what makes a winner versus a loser. And I've always said there's two types of people in this world. The one that goes, woe is me. All these things happen to me. My dad's an alcoholic. I got all these unfair shakes. And I use that example because that was my experience growing up. I've realized we have to define sometimes when we're talking about ourselves, because the people around us think we're talking about them.
yeah,
So I'm defining that was my experience. And you can either go, woe is me, and sit down and go, I can't do anything because all these things happen to me, and here's all my reasons and all my excuses. Or you go, yeah, that is part of my story. It's always going to be part of my story, but this is what I have chosen to do. And this is how I continue to fail forward and grow as a person. So that's going to mean losing. And if you're in sales, go for no. The more losses you have, the more no's you have, the closer you are to a yes and a win.
yeah. Yeah, that's something
So
Gary Vee talks about that a lot. Is there's entrepreneurialism is just, or entrepreneurship is just losing a bunch of times and then winning once.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. And further to your point, it reminds me of the saying of, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. And it's just this
Mm.
perpetual cycle. And that's what happens because the going gets tough, people have to
Yeah.
dig in, and then they create good environments where people are like, oh, someone else will take care of that.
Yeah.
And it's easy. It's easy. And it's how you in the idea there is to break that cycle. And when there are good times, still have strong mentalities,
Yeah.
still be, resilient, find ways to win when you lose, et cetera, et cetera.
And strong men versus weak men. This doesn't mean someone being over controlling or
No,
dominating or all those things. To me, all that means is leadership. Are you
exactly.
willing to
Principled.
lead
Yep.
the way, whether it's the right way or the wrong way? But if you believe in your heart of hearts that this is the right, are you willing to lead, or are you throwing your hands up and just kind of either being led by whatever fear mongering is going on, or are you looking up the definition? Are you uncovering what the source is? Are you making decisions with the people that you know, like, trust, love, care, are part of your inner circle? And then are you taking action on that? That's a strong man, a
Yeah.
strong woman. And I can't go down this conversation without saying, and I know I'm pissing a lot of people off by saying this, the masculine absolutely has to lead. And men have masculine and feminine in them, and women have masculine and feminine in them. But we have so many women, myself included, that have had to take the reins because we're capable, but we've lost and we're desperate for this softer, nurturing multiplier part of us, that we have to have this dynamic. And it can be two women in a relationship, it can be two men in a relationship, it can be all of the pronouns. Like, this is not dismissing any of this. This is us as human beings. You have to have the dynamic where there is a leader and a dynamic where there is a multiplier that follows and multiplies and nurtures. And that is the most powerful source that can be created.
Yeah.
You're capable of doing it without those things, but life is a lot harder and a lot less fulfilling if you are constantly moving in only one of your strengths.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's not about being hard. It's not about being soft. It's not about being controlling or non controlling or the black sheep or a follower. It is about where are you leading and where are you supporting and what are you multiplying and what are you bringing and putting into this world, and who do you have around you that you are multiplying what they're doing as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I just always think of everybody here, listening, watching, looks up to someone, looks up to people. Um, and I want to clarify there's a difference between looking up to people and putting them on a pedestal and idolizing them, because
Mhm.
that's a huge mistake because everybody's going to let you down.
Yeah.
But everybody you look up to has lost. They got to where they are by losing. And a great example is the Super Bowl, right? You just had the Patriots lose.
Mm.
I saw a video of their coach standing by the entrance to the locker room after the game, high fiving all of his players and saying, "Hey, we only had 304 days. Think how good we're going to be, double that next year." Saying it to all of them. And that's, they've got a young quarterback. It's going to be very defining, right? Like, some people are never going to be able to recover from that.
Mhm.
They thought they were, they thought they made it, hit the pinnacle and gave it their best, and it just didn't work. And everything comes crashing down. You see that all the time. You see it a lot in sports. These very successful teams who eventually lose, and they realize, oh shit, we didn't know how to lose.
Yeah.
A great example of that is in England with Manchester United. They'd spent 20 years on top, and then their
Mhm.
coach left, and the whole dynasty came crashing down. They're only just now getting back, and it's
Mm.
been 10, 15 years now because they didn't know how to lose. And it just
Yeah.
creates this doom loop of, this negative attitude, and it's infectious. And another tangent to go on around that is, I cannot be around losers. Like, if I think you're a
Yeah.
loser, I think you're weak minded, I can't have you in my orbit.
Yeah. I can't be around that either. I can't be around complainers or people that are unwilling to take action,
Yeah.
which is probably Ben was like, why don't you get, your LCSW? Why don't you go into therapy? And I love coaching so much because it works in the present and the future. And there are definitely times where I'm like, shoot, if I was trained more formally, I could take a client down this road, and I would want to take this client down that road because I know that I would be helpful in them also coming back out and doing what they needed to do. But for me to listen to people that just want to complain about the past, this is not against therapy. And I know there's so many people that's important for them. But when people are really stuck, I can't stay in that same conversation for more than two or three times, two or
Yeah.
three times. Um,
Well, it's one thing if someone's coming and they've made progress with their thought process and their framing of it, and
mhm,
and then they're moving forward. But yeah, if they're stuck in that same place after the third or fourth
mhm.
conversation, you're like, all right, you've had
Am I
time to
allowed to leave
process,
you?
and you're a loser because you're not doing anything about it. And it's funny, to your point. Sorry to interrupt you. I know you're on a bit of a train there. I I read this a couple days ago. I meant to actually send it to my therapist, who I haven't seen in months now. But the it was a video, and it was saying, at some point there were kind of two tracks of thought when it
Mhm.
comes to therapy and psychology. There was the Sigmund Freud's way of doing it.
Yeah,
I forget the
yeah.
other person's name. It is the name that people would know.
Yeah, and
Freud was all. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I've been studying it, and the name is not coming to me because I've been
Yeah,
looking at it with grief
and
coaching.
Sigmund Freud is all about. It's all about your past. You've got to really focus on that because that's what defines who you, how what goes back to childhood and all of that. And the other person was like, no, it doesn't matter what happened before. You can
Yeah.
use that, reframe everything, and move forward with your life. And
Given that, given all those
yeah,
things, what do you want to do now?
and the video was saying that unfortunately, in their opinion, and I kind of agree with it, the focus has been too much on the Freud way of doing it. Of it's all
Mhm.
about your past. It's not your fault. Whereas the other one was like, no, you take ownership.
Yeah.
What happened happened, and
Mhm.
just don't let it define you.
Doesn't mean it was fair.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean it was right. Doesn't mean any of those things.
yeah.
Um, I have a question for you. And you know what? Now Ben's got my mind thinking you just doing that, and it's been in my world. If I could find a path that I felt was in alignment with how I want to help people and be able to help people, I would go to school. But I never went to college. I went to cosmetology school out of high school. Like, I didn't want to leave my house. There was my stepdad had died, my grandmother had died, my aunt had died, my mom had breast cancer. Like, I didn't feel responsible leaving to go away, and I had a scholarship. And I liked helping people. I got my cosmetology degree, and I remember sitting in the counselor's office. My grandmother was still alive at the time. They had my mom and my grandmother, and I was in the corner. And I remember like my head couldn't be hung any lower because I hear it in my ear now still. You are letting her throw her life away. They would not put where I was going to school up on the board with everyone else who was going to Yale and Duke and all the places. 'Cause I went to a really good high school. And I just felt like such a loser. And I just felt like so ashamed. But I'm so proud of where everything has brought me in life, but I didn't take a traditional path. So I can't even say, like, oh, I have a bachelor's degree in something, right? So now if I want to add to it, I don't even know what it would take for me to go. And then am I doing it? I don't want to do it just for an accreditation, just for a title. I would want to do it because like this is going to help me help people at like a way more of an amazing level. So it's coming into my world, it's knocking. I have to explore it. But
It's funny.
I,
I looked into that
mm,
years ago.
mm-hmm,
There was a thought in my mind too.
mm-hmm,
I kind of decided that health was more my lane and my vehicle. But to that point, though, you want to help people, and that's really your you know your northern star. Think about how good someone feels after having their hair done, or getting a
oh
spray
yeah,
tan, or having their whatever they're
yeah,
getting done, whatever you ladies do. you
You
feel
do it
way
all.
better. I mean, it would almost, you could argue it's actually more, it helps people more than a therapy session
Oh,
or
huge. I
taking a drug or whatever.
When I was in cosmetology school, people would come into the salon, right? Because it's cheap and you have students doing. And I would get women coming in that could barely look up. They definitely didn't look in the mirror at themselves in front of them. They really made very little eye contact with me. They kind of would know what they wanted to do or not know what they wanted to do. And like my biggest win was at some point in the process, I realized that they're talking to me. They're looking at themselves in the mirror. They're smiling at themselves. Like they felt good. And when you feel good on the outside, dress up and show up, like that's 80% of the battle sometimes. Just feeling good on the outside. And so I loved that. And actually, when I went and actually worked and really made money and worked in the higher end salons, it wasn't the same gratitude. It was like these women came in like they
Yeah.
were, they didn't necessarily have a confidentiality issue. Um, but not confidential, confidence issue. It was not the same gratification. And again, it was just a stepping stone for me. But helping people feel good about themselves, whether you're doing that something external, physical fitness, something like cosmetology, where there's an immediate change, right? Like it's an immediate change in how you look if you're doing someone's hair. Um, it's always been part of me, just like it's part of you.
Yeah.
Um, I want to go back to a question. Do you have to lose to be a good loser?
I mean, by definition, I guess, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
I think so.
Yeah. You can't, otherwise, you don't know what it's like. But and that's what I was saying earlier. Like, unless you experience loss, you don't know how to react to it.
Right. So like we should be welcoming loss
Yeah.
or losing. I don't want to say when I say welcoming loss, that to me that's more of a, like I'm losing someone or something that's important to me, but welcoming losing. Also, if you don't put yourself in positions where you're set up to lose, if you're not putting yourself, if you're only playing the weakest team and you're going to win all the time, that's not winning to me, right?
No.
Like we have to put ourselves in the position we're probably going to lose.
Yeah. You've got to challenge
But we're
yourself.
going to try damn hard, right? Like that's putting yourselves in rooms where you are not the smartest person. Now, I don't view that as losing. I view it as learning. So it's all the label we want to apply to it. But just because you don't put yourself in the arena and you're just from the sidelines celebrating or commentary, right? Like the armchair warriors. That doesn't make you a winner because you
No.
haven't lost. I don't think if you haven't lost, you're not a winner.
No. And again, it's how you handle the loss. Like if you lose and then you lose again, and the way you're losing is exactly the same every time,
Mm-hmm.
then you're a loser because you're not learning from it. You're not adjusting.
Mm-hmm.
You're not you're not learning from that opportunity to grow. It kind of goes hand in hand with growth mindset
Yeah,
and all of that. I can think in business terms of people who just continue to do the same shit that doesn't make the money. They lose money on it, and they just keep thinking it's going to work.
yeah.
That's losing. That's being a loser. Whereas if you
Like
lose
the
and then you're like, oh,
gambler.
I see where we went wrong there. Let's try this instead. And then you lose again. Be like, oh, well, maybe we just need to make this tweak now. And you keep doing that.
Yeah,
You will at some point succeed and win.
yeah. If you keep tweaking.
Yeah.
But that's like the gambler, right? Like I've sat at a few blackjack tables where they're like one more hand, one more hand, one more hand. Like nothing is changing.
Right.
And by the way, you have like almost no control. I mean, I guess if you can count cards or whatever. Um, so the question is, are we losing or are we learning? And then the other question to me is like, it's more of a statement. We're losing and we're learning. Are we losing and learning, or are we just losing and losing?
Yeah. And it's
And
when you lose, you're like, all right, I don't want to feel like this again.
mm,
And then you go and do the same thing
mhm.
without at any point stopping and being like, oh, Ah, I've seen this before. Nope. I'm going to go this way instead because I went that way last time, and I think that's where I fucked up.
Yeah.
Like that's how you get around just being this constant loser.
Yeah.
Um,
Your constant redo.
yeah,
That's another thing that falls into redo, automatic redo. No, you don't get an automatic redo.
yeah,
You screw it up. Create a new opportunity for yourself. Earn a new opportunity for yourself. You don't get an automatic redo on this.
yeah,
Now, sometimes you will, like when we were playing mini golf in the beginning, especially when Alexander had like 16 stroke counts, I would give him some automatic redos. But as I got older, I'm like, no, dude, no more. You get one or you get two on the course, not
yeah,
one at every single hole, right? Like, because feeling defeated is not a win either. Um, and sometimes you do need to borrow other people's belief in you. And sometimes, as a coach or as a
yeah,
parent or as a leader, you do need to give someone a little bit of a pass, like a fresh start. But that's an earned thing. That's not an automatic. And when you
yeah,
believe it's automatic is when you become entitled, when you become bratty, when you think that, you deserve something that you don't deserve. Uh, and that's in parallel with this participation award generation.
yeah. And you said the word there, defeat, and I had to look it up just to because it's fun. You use words all the time. You're like, I don't actually know what the exact meaning is, right? And
Yeah.
my thought was, can you lose but still have defeated something? And I think you can,
Mhm.
right? You can overcome if
Oh, sure.
you're scared to speak in public or give a presentation. Maybe
Mhm.
you didn't get maybe you didn't, you give a sales pitch, let's say. Maybe you didn't get you lost the sale, but
Yeah.
maybe you defeated the fear of having to do the pitch,
Yeah.
right?
So there's levels of losing or levels of winning. I won, but I was only at a level 2 and I wanted
Yeah.
a 10. Or I lost, but I lost at like a 1 because I accomplished all these other things. So I
Yeah.
would prefer to say, I won, just not at the level. So next time I want to
Yeah.
do this because it's the scariest the first time you do it.
Yeah.
It's the second time, it's the second business, it's the second time on stage. It's the not that it gets any easier, but you got to at least do it once. And if you lose and you do it and you fall flat on your face, you still won.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Talking of sales, I really believe that being a salesperson in any industry, you are the best losers.
Hmm.
And that's why not many people can handle sales because in sales, you do lose more than you win.
Yeah.
If you're a good salesperson in SaaS, closing 20-25% is really good.
Yeah.
So think of that. You lose 75% of the times you
Yeah.
try.
Yeah. And are you losing or are you just getting that much closer to your win? Like when you
Well,
know your
yeah,
number?
and are you playing a game with the right opponent?
Mm,
Some I always love that bringing him up again. Gary Vee used to always talk about was like, don't sell to the unsellable.
mm-hmm.
And I've worked at places where you have to think everybody's an opportunity, and you can change anyone's mind. I'm like, no, if I identify that this person just I ain't getting the vibe from him. Why am I putting
Yeah.
my time and energy into that when I'm
Yeah.
setting myself up to lose?
No. And I hate talking people into things. If I really believe it's the right thing for them, I'm going to do what I can to influence. But when you're just like, this is not the right thing for this person. It's not about the sale. I think that's what makes a good salesperson, where you can just go, you know what? Actually, I don't think this is a good fit,
Yeah,
right? Because when you're persuasive and you're good at sales, you can bring people to a yes that they never wanted. And then to me, like, well, then now that's become my responsibility because you did not want this yes.
yeah,
I convinced you of this yes. And if you're a used car salesman, fine. You don't lose sleep over it. If you're a good person, and I guess there's good people that are used car salesmen, but that care. But um, I take getting to the yes, I take a lot of responsibility in that. And was it really their yes, or was it my yes that I just did a really fucking awesome job at convincing them was their yes? And as
Yeah.
soon as my energy and pressure and influence is away, they're going to realize that was actually a no. And now they're going to be upset with me. And that's not worth it to me.
Yeah, and if I'm running a sales team, and I've experienced this where there's been people who close at a much higher rate than others.
Mm-hmm.
When things get tough, I would rather keep two people who are closing 20-25% than keep the person who's closing 40-45%. I'd keep those two over the one, because that
Yeah.
one is going to have a much harder time dealing with the adversity of losing. And I've
Mm-hmm.
experienced this because it's like, oh my God, it's gone down. My collision rate's gone down 5%. Like, what's going on? This is terrible. Like, we've got to change everything. Like, dude, relax. Like,
Yeah.
we're in the battle here. You don't just change tack just because. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you got to push through.
And also the ripple effect where someone's like, oh, I did this, right? And I didn't get my desired outcome. So it was a loss.
Yeah.
But you look at the relationships that were grown from that and then how it comes back around. Like, people don't put value into that. So getting a yes or winning at the cost of losing in the future is that, to me, that's a loss. Whereas you do the right thing by someone, those are the people that come back to you. Those are the people that send people to you. Those are like, it just like, you could just never go wrong being a good person of integrity. You
Right.
can never go wrong. And you can never go wrong with losing gracefully.
Yeah.
So, how do, if we're going to wrap up, and I know I'm pushing a wrap up, but how do our listeners, what would we say is best advice for being a good loser?
And I talk to Mason about this a lot is, did I give my best? Can I truly say I gave 100% effort? And I hate the whole 110% effort. Not fucking possible. 100% effort. Um, can I learn from this?
Mm,
What am I going to do differently next time?
mm,
And that's it.
yeah.
I used to be like the typical person of like, oh, how can this all, like, this is so unfair. This person's doing this, and oh, fuck that guy. Like, if it wasn't for him, I'd be doing this. Now I'm like, you know what? It's all on me. Everything is on me. Every
Yeah.
single thing, even if it's not my fault, I did something. I still played a
Mm,
part in, maybe my part was putting myself in the position for that person to fuck me over, or
mhm.
to to deal me a bad hand. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I put myself in that position. So what do I learn from losing there? Don't put myself
Yeah.
in that position again.
Yeah.
Have better judgment.
Mm-hmm. Recognize it faster.
Yeah.
Get off the train that's going in the wrong direction faster.
Yeah.
I would say acknowledge the suck,
Yep.
like the 5 minute pity party. Like, I don't think this is about not pretending that things don't suck or that there was something that was unfair. It's about not getting stuck in it, but acknowledge it. Like, that sucked. We didn't, we didn't have our best player. We played our hearts out, but we still lost. Like, or, whatever the suck is, recognize it.
Yeah.
Just shine the light on it for a minute and be like, okay, well, fuck. And then let that fuel you to exactly what you just said. What could I have done differently? What could have we done differently? And then pick one small, what could we have done differently, and work on that. Because there
Yeah.
might be 10 things that you could have done differently. And I'm saying could, not should. Because nobody knows what we should do, right? This whole life is an experiment. All of life is testing things out to see how it works
Yeah.
for us. So what could I have done differently? And then what will I do differently? Right? So if there's 10 things you could have done differently, what's the one thing that you will do differently next time? And then what do you need to do to, one, get it next time? And two, between now and that next time, how are you becoming better? How are you raising yourself, your skill level, your mindset, your physical, whatever it needs to be? Pick that and do that. And then keep creating more opportunities for yourself. And I promise you, even if you're like, I blew it. I blew it. That was my one shot. That was my one chance. I promise you. I promise you. It might be not be with that person or that group or that team or that employer or that man or woman. If you tell the universe, God, power, whatever you believe in, I want this, and then you do the activities to become the person that deserves those opportunities, it will be granted to you.
Hmm.
I guarantee it. But if you go, well, show me the opportunity and then I'll make myself better. No, fuck no. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It does not work that way. You have to be the person that gets those opportunities, that wins in those situations every single day. You have to do the things that those people do. And then you will have more doors open than you could ever even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. And, one last thing I had to add was just we talk a lot about focusing on the outcome and then not worrying about how hard things are. And if you don't like it, embracing the suck to achieve the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to winning and losing, sometimes it's how you performed on the journey that's more important than the outcome itself. And I'll use team sports as an example. I often, and I was a striker as a soccer player. I should say I still am because I do want to play again. I I handled losing a lot better if I had a good game, if I gave my 100% effort, if I scored, I'd be okay with losing because like all right, we tried our best. Whereas I actually would come off pissed off sometimes, even if we won by a big margin, if I didn't play well, I didn't score because my journey towards that outcome wasn't positive.
Yeah.
So, there's this constant kind of balancing act of being focused on the outcome if it's something you truly desire, but also, and being prepared to go through some hard times to get there. But at the same time, sometimes the outcome is less important than the journey itself. It's about how am I gonna grow from this, and what am I gonna learn? Like I play sports not for money. It's not my career. It's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
change my life if I win or lose this game. So what do I want? I wanna learn. I wanna have fun. I wanna improve. I wanna do well versus win. But then in
Mm-hmm.
other things in life, I really want to win, so I've got to embrace the idea that it's going to be shit for a while.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
all about
Well,
having flexibility and being adept to it.
yeah. And there is a cost to winning, right? So winning at what cost? Are you willing to pay the
Yeah,
cost and the price? Um, and there's that old adage, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy, right? If you're looking at winning in an
yeah,
argument, like you could win, but are you happy now? Probably not. Maybe you feel happy for a minute. Um, so that's another conversation. Like, what's the cost? What is the cost of winning and what is the cost of losing and what's the cost of failing? It's three completely
yeah,
different things. So cool topic. Thanks for suggesting it.
yeah. Hopefully it's. I just really would love, even if it just sparked a thought in someone that listens to this of like, how do I handle losing?
Yeah.
Like, if
Mm-hmm.
I hit a situation that I consider a loss, if I didn't get that job, if I didn't get that client, if I didn't, uh, get that outcome that I wanted, how am I going to deal with that next?
Yeah.
Because like I
Yeah.
said, I used to be how that, the pity party and all of that. And I just I can't even put into words how freeing and how refreshing it is to constantly just be positive about losing.
Yes. Yes. And how important it is as a parent to make sure that we are supporting our children in what we're speaking right now,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's a failed test or it's a poor game or whatever it might be, we have to create that space where we are helping them be their best and look at everything we just talked about. Like, what did we learn? What can we do better? What will you do better? What are you going to take action on? And we need to make it a safe space, an okay space to lose.
Yeah.
As adults, we do. We need partners that allow us to lose, to allow us to fail forward. We need parents that allow us to lose and fail forward because otherwise people just become too scared and they never take risks. And that's not winning in life either.
Yeah. That's one thing I quite like about sports over here that there's no And it kind of goes against what I was saying in terms of there's no consequences for losing.
Mm.
But you want to, winning is to win. Like so over here when if you have a 2-14 season or 2-15 season, and you don't get relegated, you're still in the league, you've got a chance to learn from it and make changes for next year and go again. Whereas in England, in soccer at least, if you're in the bottom three, you go down to the next division, and that's a whole hell of stuff you've got to contend with there. So, there's my team's going through it right now where we suck, and we sucked last year too. It'd be nice not to have the pressure of that happening and just focus on, all right, maybe we can put the young kids in now and try and make this work and learn from all of this. Whereas there's that pressure to get the outcome there. So just a little tidbit.
Well, look at sales commissions. People, often like, okay, when you're doing well, you earn a high tier. Maybe life comes in there. You have a loss, right? You're dealing with something outside of your job, and now you're being punished when you actually need the money,
Yeah.
and you're doing everything that you can. But oh, sorry, you didn't produce, so now we're going to lower you down to less money to make it even harder. While you're like,
Yeah.
that's like, do you only take the kids for ice cream if they won? Or do you still take them for ice cream if they played their fucking best and they lost?
Yeah.
We're going for ice cream. Now, if you just sat there with your thumb up your nose and didn't put effort in, you're not getting ice cream. But
Yeah.
if you played hard, I don't care if you won or lost. We're still going to celebrate it.
Exactly.
So, anything else to add, my friend?
No, otherwise we'll keep going.
Yeah. Well, I know if you're listening to this, you're a winner. And in
Yeah,
order to
if you
be a
made it
winner,
to
you
the
have
end.
to be a loser. So we love for all the losers listening right now, us included,
Well,
because
and
ultimately,
again, I realize I'm going back on what I just said about nothing elsewhere, but this podcast is a great example because looking at metrics, this you would say, well, it's a loser. If you look at the ratings, it's a loser. We're not on the top 10 podcasts. We're not, but if you look at the trend, we're slowly, slowly, slowly going up and up and up, and who knows what's going to happen. But because we're winners and we don't quit when things are hard, we're still here, and you guys are still here
oh
listening.
yeah, we're still here, baby. All right. Thank you, my friends. Happy Friday the 13th. Have an amazing day, everyone. Until next time, friends. Bye for now.